Hey everybody, Ben Gothard here, and we have another Project Egg interview. Today we're talking with Terri Levine from New Jersey. How you doing today, Terri?
I'm doing awesome, thank you.
Fantastic. So let's jump right in. Terri, what is your story?
Let's see. I'll make it brief, Ben. My story is that I started selling Girl Scout cookies when I was like in first grade, and I came to find out that I sold the most Girl Scout cookies in the entire state of New York, which is where I had lived at that time. And I guess I realized that I must be a natural born salesperson, that I love to talk with people, and I selling was pretty easy. Sharing cookies. So went to college, graduated college, and said, I'll just start my own business because it looks so easy. Well, it wasn't. However, I got really, really good at businesses, and I've owned six different businesses. I know how to create seven-figure incomes for myself, and I've done it for thousands of clients over time. So that's what I love to do. I love to help people really create a solid business financially while they create great freedom and joy in their lives.
Wow, uh, that's awesome. So I kind of wanna pick apart a little bit of your history. So you said you started off in New York selling Girl Scout cookies, and you realized that you had sold the most in the entire state. How did you actually go about doing that at such a young age?
So I remember, we were told to sell Girl Scout cookies, and they didn't really tell us how. They didn't say set up a booth or anything. Now I see Girl Scouts stand outside of grocery stores. We didn't do that back then. They just said, you need to sell. And we were told we should each sell 50 boxes. So I lived in a small apartment, and there were lots of apartments all around me in the area that I could walk to. And I literally just put my Girl Scout uniform on and walked door to door. And I knew that the Thin Mint cookies were the most popular. And so I would show up at the door holding two boxes in my hand and say, I'm selling Girl Scout cookies. Would you like two boxes or more? I don't know where I got that from. I mean, I have no idea. And I was just taking order after order after order. And I remember coming home, and my mother was just overwhelmed with the amount of money that I had taken in and said, do you have any idea how many you've sold? And I'm like, no, but I think I hit 50, and I had hit hundreds. And then I got motivated. So the next 3 days, I went out and I hit every other apartment that I could go to. And, when I submitted it to Girl Scouts, my little thing made a big deal of it. But a week later, we found out I'd sold the most in the entire state.
That's awesome. That's so cool. So, you talked about how you at that point realized that you were good at sales. You had this gift for sales. Could you maybe talk about the importance of sales in entrepreneurship, how it's been helpful to you, and how other people can develop their own sales ability?
Yeah, so the first thing I want to say is sell and sales and all of that. Sell is not a bad four-letter word. It's a wonderful four-letter word. I wrote a book called Sell Without Selling because I believe in sales so much. And to me, if you have something that could help someone, you're being selfish if you don't tell them about it. So let's say that you had a paper cut, and I had developed this magical band-aid that you put on, it takes the paper cut away instantly. If I just held that to myself and didn't tell you about it, that's selfish. So I think of sales like this. If someone comes to my house, they ring the doorbell, and they've had a long trip and they're thirsty, I may say, would you like some lemonade? I make the offer. If they say yes, great. If they say no, just as great. Maybe they're not thirsty. Maybe they don't like lemonade. I don't know the reason. And that's just the way I sell, is literally, I'm not trying to overcome objections. I don't bother to do that. Here's what I have. I think it could help you. If that's true, if it's transparent, authentic, and in integrity, here it is. Would you like it? If yes, great. If no, just as great. That's sales. And if you're an entrepreneur and you are not selling every single day, literally every single day, first of all, you're not going to be in that minutia amount of people that ever gets to a million. Some people think it's very easy. It's very difficult to get to $1 million business. I've done it over and over again. And you won't be in business very long. It's the number one reason people go out is they can't sell. Can't take your products and services to people and share them. Then go sell something that you're in love with and that you can sell, or go get a job.
And so, for those people who maybe they're a little bit afraid to go sell, or maybe they just don't have that natural talent to sell, how would you advise them to develop that skill? Because it is important, like you said, if you're not selling every single day as an entrepreneur, then you're not getting new customers, and you're not generating revenue, and you don't have a business. So how do you develop those skills if you don't have them, or maybe if you want to sharpen them?
So the first thing I would say is not to get any specific sales training, because that's going to teach you how to overcome objections and how to be manipulative. So I would say just really figure out for yourself, why am I passionate about these products and services that are in my company? Why? Why are they great? And who are they great for? And then develop your confidence about the result they deliver. So you shouldn't be selling anything that doesn't have value for people. So if you're really clear, this has X value for this type of person, then all you want to do is just let people know that. And you can do it many different ways. You don't have to sell in a traditional way. If you love to speak, then go speak. Have small events, do webinars, do teleseminars. If you don't like to speak and you like to write, go write. So it really doesn't matter. It's figuring out your style. But it comes from, this is really important, a true belief in your products and services, because that's where you get your confidence from. And then taking daily actions every single day to be communicating only with your ideal target audience and telling them about the result that you have and just saying, hey, I'm here if you want it.
And I think you brought up a really good point about having to identify your target market. And for a lot of entrepreneurs, I think that's something that they struggle with a lot in the beginning, because they may have this product or service that they think is great and that works for them, but they don't know who to sell it to. So in your experiences, what is the best way to match up your product or service with the market? In other words, how do you go find your target market?
Great question. So first, you have to be very, very clear on the one result that you deliver. Not 5, not 8, not 2, 1. What's one thing you absolutely know your product or service does for someone? The second thing is you need to go ask people that you think are your target market, because you're not going to be sure. And this is the question I teach all my clients. If you could get one result with me, just one, what would that be? And let them tell you what they want. So you might have a widget that does this, but they might say, no, I want this. You have to match the result to the audience. And then all you do, very simply, is to reach that audience, you join groups on LinkedIn. You join groups on Facebook. You join a local group where those people hang out. Don't go join, for example, a LaTip or BNI, or if you're a coach, a group of coaches, or consultant, a group of consultants, because that's not your target audience. Go where your exact target audience is hanging out, first in person and online, Facebook and LinkedIn. Start some Facebook groups, start some LinkedIn groups, and do only one thing. Create value, 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 value. Teach some things about the result that you give.
Terry, you there?
Trust you.
You kind of cut out a little bit. The last thing that we heard was trust the result that you give.
Okay. Well, that was way back, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Okay. So trust in the result that you give. Know that you can give this result. Then ask this question. If I could give you just one result, what's the result you would want? These two things have to match. If you give a result of generating lots of leads, you're your marketing coach or consultant, and your target audience doesn't want that, but they want conversions, you have to make a difference and match what they want. And then just join LinkedIn groups, Facebook groups, and a group that's in person. If you're a coach, a consultant, a marketing person, don't go join a group with more of them. Join an in-person group, not LaTip, not BNI, but where your exact target audience is hanging out. Give value in the in-person group. Give value, 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 teaching about your result, not in a sales way, on your Facebook and LinkedIn group. Start your own Facebook and LinkedIn group and deliver content and value and content and value. Allow people to get to know, like, and trust you, and they'll come to you. They come to you. I don't go running after chasing people. They come to me. And I guess two more quick things I want to say, Ben. You must know the demographics. So the demographics is, are they men? Are they women? Where do they live? How old are they? What kind of work do they do? That's less important, and this is what most business owners miss, than psychographics. Psychographics is, how do they think? Are they walking around with this big problem, thinking about it day and night? What are they thinking? If you understand their psychographics, then you can bring the result to them, and then you create a sale without selling.
Absolutely. So, there is one thing that you touched on that I kind of want to dig a little deeper in. So you said that your product or service might deliver this result, but your target market might want this result. Well, at what point do you say this is just not my target market? Because yeah, you can move around and try to shift your product or service, but if your core competency is over here and the market wants something over here, would it be, at what point do you say, okay, this is just not the right market for me?
So I do it quite opposite. So I'm very unique in this. Sell what people want, not what you think. I want to sell this. That's what I want to do. If people aren't interested in what you want to do, give people what they want. Whether you have to get a little bit more training to deliver the result, or you have to figure out a better way or a program or a package to deliver the result, or tweak your product, it's so much easier. I developed a program basically just like this. I asked my target audience, if I could give you one result, what would you want? And I had about 80 people respond, and I read through all the results, and there was one underlying theme, and it was not something that I had been doing. And I said, what would it take for me to do that? It took me about 3 weeks. I made a shift, and then I offered that program, and I think it was 37 people instantly enrolled in a $2,500 program. It'd be a lot harder for me to say, oh yeah, but I don't want to sell that. I want to sell this. Let me go hunt and try to find those people, if they even exist. If you have an audience raising their hand and saying, hey, Ben, if you could give me this result, I'm going to give you money. Tweak what you are doing. And I'm not saying that, it's going to be night and day, because normally if people know you at all, it's going to be something similar to your skill set. You may have to, improvise and learn a little bit more. I constantly am a continuous learner. I have 5 coaches right now. I've had as many as 8 at a time. So I'm better every single day. If they want something that I'm not great at, I'm going to go find a way to learn it.
Absolutely. And so, you talked about the importance of learning every single day. And, I think in the beginning, for a lot of people, they may not have the capital to hire coaches or do the more expensive types of learning like that. So what ways would you suggest for newer entrepreneurs to educate themselves and to, develop these skills?
Okay, so the first thing is read. I find people do not read enough business books. Get your hands on every business book that you can get. And I'm an avid reader. I happen to be a speed reader, so I read 200 books a month. You don't have to read that many. Truly read. If you're weak at sales, read sales books. If you're weak at marketing, read marketing books. If you have trouble talking to customers, read books on that. Just figure out where your weaknesses are and read. The second thing is there are a lot of coaches, consultants, mentors, trainers that offer some very inexpensive entry kinds of programs, and some of them will even barter. And I know people think, oh yeah, but why would XYZ person barter? Clients, if there's something they want to learn and they go, oh, but I'd love to learn from so-and-so and can't afford so-and-so, contact so-and-so, see if they have a lower price program, service, package, product, offer something you could do for them and barter. I've done that with a lot of people, and I've done that for people. So always ask and read, go to every seminar that you can. There's a lot of seminars that are $97. And I will say this, if you're not willing to invest a little bit of money in your business, you need to get a job. Because anyone who is going to have a business needs to be properly capitalized. It's the number two reason most businesses fail in their first 5 years. Number one is not selling. Number two is not enough capitalization. I've talked to people who can't even afford business cards. You can't be in business. Go get a job. And it's not that I'm trying to discourage. I'm trying to really tell you, to be successful, be properly capitalized in your business.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, earlier on you mentioned the importance of sales, but you also talked about people skills and how important that is. Could you maybe give a little bit more insight on why people skills are so important and how it's impacted your business?
I think everything in business comes down to people, whether it's customers, whether it's employees or contractors, or whether it's vendors. You are dealing with people no matter what you sell as an entrepreneur. You're constantly dealing with people. And first of all, people do business, we all have heard this, with people they know, like, and trust, right? So people need to get to know you. You need to be a good communicator. You need to, not be afraid. I've had people who are like, you want me to do a Facebook Live? People will see me. Get over yourself. That's pretty much what I say. I'm like, I've shown up on Facebook Live all different ways. Be who you are. Don't be somebody different. Be authentic, be transparent, and be in integrity. And, this is probably be surprising for your audience. I am an introvert. I am truly an introvert. Now, I'm on stages with 5,000 people in the audience, and I'm quite comfortable. How can that be if you're an introvert? I realized that to be an entrepreneur many years ago, when I first started in business, 3+ decades, I said to myself, Terri, you're going to have to force yourself to be an extrovert. So I'm a forced extrovert. My preferred style is to be alone, maybe just with my husband, quiet, not talking to people. However, if I want to be successful in business, I must communicate. I must speak. I must like people. So work on your people skills, your sales skills, and your people skills.
Absolutely. So, for, again, I have a similar question to the sales one. For people who haven't really developed those people skills yet and maybe having a tough time developing those, what suggestions would you give in order for people to sharpen those skills, sharpen the axe?
So I'll give you, a couple of the same ones, of course. Go read, go to seminars. But I'll tell you, really good way of doing this is literally to put yourself in the most uncomfortable situation. And I've challenged clients, and this has gotten them over their people stuff. I've said, go get 5 people together live for free and offer to teach them something, some result that your product or your service delivers. And these are people who, first of all, say they don't have people skills. I can't call people up and ask them. And I literally say, you've got to change your inner thinking and then change your outer action. And your outer action is just make a phone call. Just make a phone call. And so they'll get these 5 people together, and then they'll usually be very nervous. I have no idea what to say. I have no idea what to do. And so I basically have them just talk to me, so you can talk out loud to yourself. Why do I love doing what I do? Why do I do this business? Why am I passionate about it? Here's what happens when people buy my product or service. And just to practice saying that, when you get together with your 5 people, have a few questions to ask them, like, what's the number one biggest problem you wish could be solved? What's happening in your business? What's happening in your life? What challenges do you have? And listen. And then at the very end, say, oh, could I tell you a little bit about why I do the business I do? And the first time my clients do it, they're scared to death. They're nervous wrecks. The second time they do it, they're sharper. By the 5th time, this whole idea of I can't get in front of people, I'm not a people person, starts to go away. We start to change the inner thinking and the outer behaviors, and that's how you make real sustainable change.
That's awesome. That really is a great method to do it. And I actually challenge all the listeners out there who may be thinking that you are an introvert, to use that method. I mean, that's a golden nugget. Definitely utilize that piece of advice. Thank you for providing that value. So, you talked about how you're in sales and you have people skills, and then you mentioned that you have started over a few different 7-figure plus businesses. Could you maybe talk about when you first started those and kind of how that all came to be?
Sure. So I went to college to be a speech language pathologist. And at the time, I didn't realize that speech pathologists way back then were not in private practice. They typically worked in schools, hospitals, nursing homes. I decided to start a private practice. And that's what I did. And it was very difficult. At the time, I had moved from the East Coast to the Midwest. I didn't know anybody. I lived in a very cliquey community. I couldn't even get in with doctors who need to make referrals. And I got really persistent. I have somewhere online something called the 6-hour marketing call, because that's exactly what happened. I literally sat in one doctor's office for 6 hours. I just decided I'm not leaving till he sees me. And eventually at the end of the day, he saw me and was like, "You are the most persistent person." And 3 days later, he started to send me patients. And then when he sent me patients, I went to other doctors and said, "Dr. Elkhammer is referring," and then they started to refer. So I started that business, and I very quickly realized I didn't enjoy speech language pathology that much. But what I really did enjoy was building the business. And so I went and got hospital contracts and nursing home contracts, and we added occupational therapy and physical therapy. And lo and behold, this just built up into a really crazy, crazy business going back well over 30 plus years ago. Sold that business. And then my husband and I started a business bringing art into people's homes. It was something I'd been passionate about. Grew that business into a very large business. I was doing about $12 million a year when we finally sold that business. And then I did a startup business, rehabilitation, occupational, physical, and speech therapy, contracted services to nursing homes. That's my real winner, 0 to 88 million in less than 6 months. Yeah, it was mind-boggling. It was just incredible. And then I started a coach training school, and then I started my own coaching business. Then I started my own consulting business, and all of those have done 6 figures plus, plus, plus. I've sold many of my businesses, but my real joy is working with somebody else and seeing them first get to that big number they're looking for and then get to 100 grand. And there's a world of difference between 100 and a million, which is why most people don't get to a million. Then giving them the steps, because if somebody gives you the steps, you can get there a lot easier than the way I did with my speech pathology business. It was very difficult.
So that is absolutely incredible how many businesses that you have built. I have a few questions for you. So, when you first started that first business, and you were so persistent about getting to see that doctor and getting referrals, was it that same persistence that helped you build up that business to over 7 figures? I mean, what were the most important things that you did in order to build up that business?
Well, the first thing, just going back to that persistence, is I was desperate. If I didn't start to get referrals, I was going to be out of business. And I had invested in the building and invested in the materials. So I was really desperate. So it made me very persistent, which was a great skill to learn. Because over time, I could care less if somebody says no. It makes no difference to me. I wouldn't sit in their office anymore for 6 hours. However, what I did learn is you need to, my expression, find a way or make a way. Find a way or make a way. So when I first started my coach training school, it was really crazy. We did one ad in a newspaper, and the school wasn't even fully finished. We had like the first, I think, 6 modules, but not all 70 something. 200 people enrolled in the school over a weekend with one ad. And I was like, now what? All right. But I had to find a way or make a way. I went out, I hired the best coaches from all different coaching schools all over the world. I said, help me write curriculum, help me teach, and I have a much better program because of it. So every single time, my philosophy is find a way or make a way. Are you going to get to $100,000? You better believe you are. You better figure it out. And so my persistence comes from, and for me, it's not money. So money is nice, but for me, my businesses aren't driven by money. My businesses are driven by, I really believe every business I've owned has made a huge difference for other people's lives. And unless I bring a lot of people into the business to experience it, what's it there for? And so I'm very persistent in finding a way or making a way to get the word out. It's without selling. I'm not going to sit and be with someone for 6 hours or even 6 minutes. If I say, this is what I have and you're not a match, hey, it's been awesome. If I have someone to send you to, I will. If not, I'm sorry, I can't help you. Real simple. There's plenty of people you can help as long as you've asked the question, what result do you want? And you can deliver that result.
That's awesome. So it's very results driven how you do it. That I think that is a really good point, because if you're spending your time talking with people who don't need what you have to offer, and you're doing that consistently, I mean, you're kind of just wasting your time at that point. And I think for the younger entrepreneurs who are listening, this is a huge tip. It's a very a lot of value that you provide, and again, I thank you for providing that value. But if you're not making the money that you want, or you're not helping the number of people that you want, listen to Coach Terri. Listen to what she's saying, because you need to find the people that you can help the most and spend time with them. Spend time with your target market. Try to implement these things that she's saying into your business, because when you listen to people who have built 7-figure businesses and listen to people who are tremendously successful, you can pick up these things and implement them into your business, and they will help elevate you to the next level. So, again, I do want to thank you for providing that value. So I think you know where my next question is going, but you said you went from 0 to 88 million in 6 months. Please share with the audience and myself that process. How did you do it? What were the steps that you took, and kind of give us a play-by-play, if you don't mind, of that process.
So what I was selling was contracted speech pathology services, occupational and physical therapy services to nursing homes and hospitals. And there had been a lot of contracted services done in California and a lot done in New England, but it had not been a popular thing in New Jersey and Pennsylvania. And I said, if I put together a really great PowerPoint that shows the reason why somebody would contract versus do it themselves, and financial benefits, all I have to do is get in front of nursing home owners or administrators. Once they see this presentation, to me, it's a total no-brainer. And so first of all, it came from an inside belief, right? Kind of loop around what we talked about. I had full confidence. And I also believed, and I still do, that when our company was going to service patients in nursing homes, we were going to do it correctly, because a lot of nursing homes don't know how to hire a physical therapist, occupational therapist, whatever, and they're not managing them. And we had everything in place. So I put together spent a lot of time on it, a very, very compelling PowerPoint presentation. Chet Holmes' words for this would have been core story. He's one of my friends. And I just literally picked up the phone, and every single day I called nursing homes to make appointments. And if I got a no from the owner, I tried the administrator. If I got a no from the administrator, I did try the owner, because they look at things differently. So I thought, let me try both. And if I got 2 no's, it was a no. That was okay. And within the first week or two, I think I got, my recollection is 11 appointments. And then I realized my PowerPoint and my argument and my results were so compelling, because these facilities were like, well, let me see the contract right away. I mean, there wasn't any pushback at all. Signed on the first one at the end of week 3. Once I had that first one, just like the first doctor referring, here's a parallel, I then started calling nursing homes and saying, Hamilton Park Nursing Home already signed on with us, and they see the value. I'd love to come in and help you do what they're doing. Then I had 2, then I had 3, then I had 5. And then all of a sudden it would be these 15 nursing homes already have it. And it just grew exponentially to the point where we had most of the large nursing homes in New Jersey, expanded that to Pennsylvania, and then just kept expanding all around those areas. And literally, it was like we dominated the marketplace. We were there first. First to market always has an advantage. And I was not the least bit scared about making these phone calls because of the tremendous value and results we could deliver.
And that's absolutely incredible. So for entrepreneurs who want to try to model that success and try to be that successful themselves, what steps do they take? I mean, where do you start, I guess?
Okay, so nowadays I would do it a bit differently. Back then, there was barely internet. A handful of people were just starting on the internet. So what I would basically recommend is use the internet instead of me going to every nursing home and literally driving from one, spending 2-3 hours there, and maybe getting a second one in and then back on the phone. Make it really easy. Create a great webinar. Automate it. I've got one that just plays nonstop 24/7. People get to watch it whenever they want. They opt in. And from that, I have a drip campaign, and that's what I want you to do. That just goes to them, not a pushy sales thing, but hey, you watched the webinar. What kind of value did you get? What's the number one result you're looking for? Maybe a couple days later, any questions about the webinar? Maybe a third one. Hey, here's something I taught in the webinar I thought I'd expand on. So you're creating a relationship and value. And then take advantage of Facebook ads. I love Facebook ads. You can know the exact result you deliver to the exact demographic and psychographic audience, and for very little money. You get in front of the right audience, they watch your automated webinar, so it takes out the sales process, and they raise their hand if they're interested. And so what you're doing is, one of my mentors, Joel Bauer, always talks about sort, sift, and separate. What the webinar does is it sorts, sifts, and separates it. It sorts people who have some interest. They go watch it. It sifts people who have a much higher interest to rising to the top. And it literally separates the people who are ready to hire you now, because at the end they raise their hand and say, let's talk, or I'm interested. So it does all the selling for you. It's automated. Just create a great webinar and invest a little bit in Facebook ads. By the way, as your Facebook ads start doing well, you go, well, I spent $30 and I just made $2,500. What if I spent 50? I spent 50. I made 5,000. What if I spent? You'll keep upping it. I've got a client doing $75,000 a month in Facebook ads, but making almost $100,000 a day from the $75,000 invested.
Wow.
Right, but don't go there yet. You start baby steps, baby steps.
That is incredible. That is absolutely incredible. So, we talked a lot about providing value, and you said in the beginning, if you want to go find your market, go join all these groups and just provide value, give them content. And could you maybe expand a little bit on how you provide value to that audience? In what form does it take? And at what point do you shift from providing value to making the sale? And if I'm even getting that right, what's that whole process look like?
So I create as many ways to deliver value as I can possibly think of. And every day, literally, I'm thinking of more. I'm not just creating content. A lot of people create blogs and podcasts and social media posts and content. And I don't believe in just creating content for content's sake. I believe in looking every day and saying, how can I let people have more value? What can I deliver? So every day when I wake up in the morning, that is my number one question. It's all I ask myself. What can I do today to create more value for people? My current clients, my past clients, and any prospective clients. So for example, a few days ago, I realized that one of the things I do really well is I find $10,000 in someone's business. It takes me about 45 minutes. And I said, I'm going to do a free Facebook challenge. I'm going to create value for a whole group of people. And I'm literally going to find for each of them $10,000 in their business. I'm not selling anything. Zero. It's a free Facebook group. So people register for the group. They're just starting now. I created a document to kind of give them a little guidance. I dropped it in the group yesterday. I said, we're going to start the challenge soon. Please read the document. I'm going to do a Facebook Live for them today, teaching them some more concepts. And then in a couple of weeks, we're going to start this challenge. And all I'm doing is creating value in that challenge. So how do you sell? So at the end, I just make one statement. It'll probably be something like this. At the end of the 5-day challenge, I'll probably say, if you want my personal help to find that 45,000, to find that 10,000 in 45 minutes, then here's my calendar link. Let's get on the phone together. It's not a sales pitch. Won't sell you anything. And then I actually do that. I demonstrate my value and my results. I get on the phone. We spend 45 minutes together. I know, full confidence and belief, I can find $10,000 in anyone's business. I find it, I demonstrate it. And my question at the end is, would you like me to help you? Yes, no. Very simple.
So it's just constantly providing value, sifting through all those people and narrowing it down, and then just asking if they want your help. It's as simple as that.
That's all. And they separate and sift and sort and rise to the top, and they raise their hand. At the end of my automated webinar, they've gotten tons of value. It's not a sales webinar. It's educational, 45 minutes of content. I give my best stuff. And at the end, I say, hey, if you want an opportunity to get on the phone with me, see if I can help you further, fill out this little application, and then you'll be invited to chat with me. And then I spend time chatting with people. And it is chatting. It is not selling. It's tell me about you, tell me about your business, tell me your biggest challenge. Same thing I have my clients do. What's the one result that you wish you could get? If I've got that result, I help them. If I don't, I tell them that I can't.
That is incredible. So, I do have two more questions for you, because we're getting close to the hour. But my first question is, you've done all these incredible things and you've made such an impact on so many people, but what do you want to leave behind as your legacy?
That's such a good question. I really want to make 1,000 more business owners $1 million business owners. That is my goal. I want to have 1,000 people that literally get the process, they follow through the steps, and I want 1,000 more of those people. And I only want people who are willing to pay something forward. And this is how I'll have a legacy. If I call myself a Heartrepreneur, it's the name of my company, it's my brand. If I use my heart to help you create a successful business, I want to know that your heart is in your business delivering results for other people. So I deliver results for you. I want you to pay it forward and deliver results for your clients. And that's my legacy.
Wow. That's incredible. And my last question is there anything about yourself that you think is an important part of who you are that we didn't cover today? In other words, what did I miss?
So I'll just share one thing very briefly. I have a neurological disease, and it's called reflexive sympathetic dystrophy, and it is the number one most painful disease on the McGill pain scale, worse than having a limb removed or of any form of cancer. And there's a lot of people with my disease who are stopped completely. And I was for a while. I went to a pity party. I was in a wheelchair for 18 months. However, I changed my thinking. I was stuck in that pattern. And one day I said, Terri, stop it. And literally when I changed my inner beliefs and my inner thinking, and I stopped identifying myself as I have RSD, I basically started to change everything, started to learn how to walk again. And if you see me today, I go to the gym every day. I'm not saying that I don't have pain, so I want people to get this. I have just a bigger vision in my life. I have people I want to help and things I want to do and the juice that I want to get out of life because it's short. So everything is a conscious choice. And that's what I really have to say. And I share that story about myself, not to ask you to feel sorry for me or any of that, but to say, okay, she said it earlier, find a way or make a way. And no matter what is going on in your business or your life, you can make excuses or you can get things done and change your inner thinking with your outer actions. So that's the full story.
That is so inspirational. That is fantastic. Thank you so much for jumping on this interview today. And I really do appreciate all the value that you've provided to our listeners. So, if people want to get in contact with you or maybe to reach out to you, what's the best way that they could go about doing so?
They can go over to my website, which is heartrepreneur.com, which is the word heart, Heartrepreneur. So Heartrepreneur. They can go over there. There's a ton of free tools, free resources. And if they really want to challenge me and have me find $10,000 in 45 minutes, they can just send me an email, Terri, Terri, at heartrepreneur.com. And in the subject line, say 10,045, and I'll happily do it for your audience.
So I very much encourage you to reach out to Coach Terri because she can absolutely transform your life and your business, and she is a fantastic entrepreneur, and I very highly encourage you to reach out to her. So Terri, I do want to thank you so much again for spending time on this interview. It really means a lot that you would take time out of your busy schedule to do so. And to everybody listening, I love you guys. Y'all are the reason that we're doing this. The fact that you come back to listen, every single interview, every single time, this is why we're doing it, and I really can't thank you enough. From the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you. And anything you ever need, you can always reach out. But thank you. So, everybody that's listening, this has been another Project Egg interview. And today we've been talking with Coach Terri Levine from New Jersey. Have a good one, everybody.
And